Hey everybody, this is Mike Bono from the North Andover Athletic Association, and you are listening to the Nightly News Podcast, the show that brings you inside the lines of North Andover High School athletics. Hello everyone, welcome to the latest Nightly News Podcast. I'm Ala Purdy here with Dave Brown. This week's guest is North Andover High School boys varsity basketball coach Paul Tanglis. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. So you've been the coach for at least 8 or 10 years? More?
Yeah, going into year 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. That's a long time. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yep.
Replaced Coach McVeigh.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the legend.
He was here for 150 years.
Yeah.
I didn't know him very well. I had one great experience, the Booster Club, when I was coaching my daughter. He did a coaching clinic, and I probably learned more in 45 minutes from him than I learned the before and after that about basketball.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he was tremendous.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah. So I guess, I'll start with what I often start with coaches here. The MVC, it's a bear. Lawrence, Central, Andover, going down to some of the lower teams, how do you compete? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I mean it's extremely competitive. When I went to North Andover High, we were in the Cape Ann League, and you had a couple games every year that you sort of knew you could kind of take care of business if you just showed up. And with the MVC, and especially being in the MVC large, there's just no nights off. The kids know it now. We've been in the league for since I've been there, and you have to play hard. It's very physical, and if you don't bring your game, you're gonna lose. Even to the smaller schools. So it's tough, but it does prepare you for playing non-league games and hopefully getting into the state tournament. I've seen a lot of other outside leagues don't want to play MVC teams because they know they're battle tested. So it's tough, but it definitely makes us better.
Good. You said now you went to North Andover High. You played for North Andover.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do after North Andover High? Where did you play?
So after I graduated from North Andover in 2000, I went to Framingham State College, played there, and then after my 4-year career playing college, that's kind of when I decided to get into coaching. For the first time, I realized basketball is not going to be part of my life anymore in a competitive sense. So I, basically after that, I took a college coaching position at Plymouth State, and then came back to North Andover for a year under Coach McVeigh, and then I went to Medford for 3 years, got my first head coaching job in Stoneham, was there for 3 years, and then when Coach McVeigh retired, I got the job at North Andover. So it's great. It's a way to stay competitive, for myself, and I really do love it. So, and now that you're saying 10 years, I've already been here. It's kind of crazy how fast it's gone.
Sure. COVID, how did it? I mean, it was a challenge for everybody. Mm-hmm. Anything specific to basketball or? Yeah,
I just felt bad for the seniors who couldn't play in front of crowds. We were in empty gyms, felt like a scrimmage, 12-game season. So I really felt bad for them. It was, tough wearing the mask. I don't know how the kids played running a sprint with a mask on, but they did it, and, they didn't complain about it. So better than not having anything, but definitely it's just sad for those guys that they didn't get to experience the crowds and Christmas tournament, state tournament, things like that. So, but, we battled through just like anyone else. So,
who are your assistants?
So I have Bill Hart is a varsity assistant. Aiden Heim, a former player, is now coming on this year. Scotty Wilson's our junior varsity coach, and CJ Good is our freshman coach.
What are your numbers like this year?
A little smaller this year. This is kind of, usually we get around 45 freshmen, and it kind of tails off as you get into the, junior, senior class. But usually we have around about, give or take about 65, 70 kids coming out. This year we're low, probably around like 50, 55 total. So, but it kind of depends year to year.
Sure.
So.
Sure. Now, Christmas tournament. Is that home? Is that what we having that this year? Are we hosting that?
No, it's actually at Merrimack College, and they're doing a pretty cool thing. They have Hamel Court, and then they turn the hockey rink into a basketball court as well. So we actually have our first game. We get to play in the hockey rink, which is kind of cool, playing against Central Catholic, which will obviously be tough. Mm-hmm. But that experience, I think, is going to be great, being in a college facility. Oh, yeah. So the kids will enjoy that.
Feeling a little bit like you're in Boston Garden, right?
Yeah. I haven't seen it all set up. I've seen pictures, but it looks really cool having the court on the hockey rink.
Nice.
So this year's crowd? How are you looking? How are you feeling like you're sizing up competitive wise, and how are the younger kids looking? How are those teams coming along, the JV and freshman teams?
Yeah, so this year we're probably the most inexperienced team I've had. We only returned one starter and really only one other kid that got some minutes on the varsity team. We graduated 4 seniors from last year, so we're going to be young, a little bit inexperienced. But we'll see. I think we'll be competitive, but I definitely think that experience part does play a factor. So we're going to kind of have to get some younger kids and some guys that didn't see the floor caught up a little faster than maybe we normally would. And then, we'll see about the freshman JV levels. They're usually always competitive. So, we'll see. We're going to hit the ground running on Monday, and we'll find out quick,
How many do you usually keep on a varsity team? 12?
Yeah, anywhere between 12 to 15, depending on the year. But that's 15 is usually probably the max. It's tough to have more than that. Yeah, especially then you're talking about getting kids in. It's that's why basketball is tough. It's only 5 guys on the floor at a time, and you're not rotating 5 in, 5 out usually at the varsity level. So it does get competitive as they move up the ranks.
We touched on the MVC earlier, and I think most people agree the MVC is probably the toughest conference in the state in probably every sport. I think doesn't mean we have a champion every year, but I think we get down to the 4th, 5th, 6th best team in the MVC. They're probably wiping the floor with the 4th, 5th, 6th best team in every other conference. And you touched on it. Who's difficult? I mean, there's obviously Central Andover, Lawrence, and you guys. But beyond that, who this year looks strong? Lowell, or they're kind of in and out, it seems like.
Yeah, I would say we're in the large right now, and so Central every year is very tough basketball wise. Andover is going to be really good. Lawrence is right now probably maybe favored as the best team in the league. Right? Yeah, they're big. Yeah. And then Lowell's always good. So it's unfortunately they never have really a down year. So you're going to have to play pretty well to compete with them, and we've done that. But it's they're always tough. So
how does it work? Being because I know our enrollment is a lot less than Lawrence, Chelmsford. I mean Central. I think the enrollment's similar. But Lowell, how does it work? How are we in one?
It changes year to year. It's been a 2-year cycle. We've actually been in there this is now basically our 5th year. It has gone by enrollment. They didn't do it the past couple of years. They've gone kind of by what they called strength of program, which is tough to do in public high school basketball because the kids change every year. So you could be really good one year and then you kind of reload. So they're talking about doing something different next year. So we'll see. But it's hard. It's definitely tough playing those teams. That's 8 games on your schedule that are going to be really, really tough. And this year we get Central 3 times opening up the Christmas tournament. Right? Yeah, so you could
conceivably you could possibly play Central Andover and Lawrence 3 times.
You could.
Right? If you
could.
Yeah.
So and then
there's a 30-year season.
If you hit them in the state tournament, right. You could play them 4 times, right. And so it's it's definitely tough. So we'll see what happens next year, but kind of changes it's a 2-year cycle. Sure. So
that's something that a lot of people are curious about. And I've always been curious about. How are the non-league games chosen? Like how does that schedule get created?
So I go out and find them. You talk to the coaches, you email coaches. The MIA has a games wanted section, and I said that's tough because being in our league, I think people kind of scares people away sometimes. So usually I have to get between 4 or 5 non-league games, and that can sometimes be tough. Sometimes we try to do a 2-year cycle. Hey, I'll come to you, you come to me next year. So this year we're playing Haverhill again as a non-league game, so we'll play them twice. We get the Christmas tournament, and then we have 2 games with Newburyport. So kind of going back to the Cape Ann League.
I can imagine it'd be tricky because thinking as a coach, you want to win every game you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm a non-MVC coach, so you as an MVC coach of a team that's probably not going to be first, second, or third, maybe, you probably have to play the best team in another conference. That because they'll play you, Yeah. So that it must get tricky and a little bit of a little tough to.
Yeah,
to work
it's hard because you want to fill your games. You want to play competitive games and things like that. And with the new system now, with the strength of schedule, it does help. I think a little bit with.
Who's got
yeah, so I think other teams that may know that they're going to be really good in their league aren't afraid to play a team because sometimes a loss can actually help you
Right.
with the whole system.
Because it's a strong team.
Strong team.
Yeah, so I think that's helped. Before when it was just get 10 wins, people just want to make sure they can try to get their 10 wins and get in. So
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I was always wondering, always wondered about that.
Yeah.
Especially when my children were going through the high school. Like, why this year are we playing a game in East Bridgewater?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Last year we played in Methuen. Like, what happened there?
Yeah, and sometimes you just have to, we went down to Franklin at the end of the year a couple years ago to play in a tournament. Not the greatest situation, but I needed to fill it, and so sometimes you have to make those choices.
Team-wise, who are you leaning on this year? Who are you looking for?
So we have Zach Walensky returning. He was MVC All-League last year as a sophomore, so he'll definitely be a big part of it. And then we have our other two captains, Jake Denny and Liam Trundy, who were also part of the program last year. And then we have just a lot of younger guys, probably some new faces that we'll see where they're going to fit in. We'll try to figure out roles and things like that. So it's definitely wide open, and I've told the kids at the end of the season, this is probably about as wide open as it's been in the past couple of years to not only make the team, but get playing time. So hopefully that's motivated kids to work hard in the off season.
So you've been affiliated with the MVC mostly since 2000, right? You said, when did you graduate?
So when I graduated in 2000, we were still in the Cape. I think it was 2012 is when they went to the MVC. It was Mike McVeigh's last year, and then when I took over.
So what's changed, would you say, in the last 5 or 7 years in the MVC? See any trends, anything different than when you started?
Not too much. It's, even the small schools are tough and competitive, so it's not like, if you just, take care of the small schools, you're all set. Methuen, Haverhill, Chelmsford, Billerica, Tewksbury, even Drake. They've had really good teams as well. So there's unfortunately, it's not like, if you just play the small schools, you're good. Those are all competitive too. But, I think the league overall is strong, and, it just keeps getting stronger.
Sure.
Yeah, basketball is such a popular sport now. It's like I think it's taken over everything, from a fan perspective anyway. So I'm a little surprised the numbers are down. You said that you had a little bit smaller turnout this year than in the past, and I wonder why.
Yeah.
Because I would think the opposite would be happening.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm not sure. Sometimes it's just certain grades gravitate to certain sports. Sometimes you hear the grade like, it's a baseball grade or something like that. So it fluctuates. Last year we had I think 40, 44, 45 freshmen coming out. So it kind of jumps around. I think just based on just the kids in the grade.
It's a little bit random too. Who's going to go to private school? Who's going to go to a religious school or whatever? Yeah. Any seniors this year?
Well, the only returning seniors are Jake Denny and Liam Trundy. So yeah, definitely, like I said before, just a younger group.
So you'll have a small senior night celebration.
Yeah, if that turns out like that. Yeah, some nights it's big, some nights it's smaller.
Any underclassmen you're expecting big things from?
Yeah, we had 3 freshmen on the team last year. So Zach Farrow, Cam Bethel, and Nico Catalano. Didn't get a ton of playing time last year, but they were part of the program. So I'm hoping that helps them as they come into sophomores now. So they were just practicing with us and things like that. I think was a big help, and they got some minutes here and there. So looking for them to make the jump this year.
What would you, not to give out trade secrets, but how would you describe what your offense, let's say, like what is your theory, or what, I guess.
Yeah, we try to play fast. We want to push the ball. We don't want to walk it up and call it a set every time. We're trying to be much more free, just teaching the kids how to play, so it's not come down and be robotic and you got to be in this spot, you got to be in that spot. We're very interchangeable with our positions. We're not necessarily you're the 1, you're the 2, you're the 3. So we like to kind of just have guys that can play multiple positions. We're looking for basketball players more than, you're a guard, you're a forward, things like that. And the more kids can do, the more, puts them in a better position to play and play multiple positions. So, and then defensively, we just try to be tough defensively. That's always something that we always key on. So, we want to be physical, and definitely try to push the ball and try to get as many easy baskets as we can. So.
It's always good.
Yep. Easy baskets are good. Yeah.
I lost the thought. I had one, but it's gone.
I'm on with questions. Actually, the one question I did want to ask. Do you want to run down? I know there's been, you've had some kids move on to college. Run down maybe a few who've done well in the last few. I know Beatty, but I don't know that you coached.
Yeah.
Visa, did you?
No, I did. Yeah, he's actually he played at Virginia Tech, and now he's one of the assistants at Texas A&M with Buzz Williams. So he wants to get into that coaching, coaching
Yeah.
job, and he's in a good spot to do that. Obviously, when you're in a big time program, he's got his foot in the door. So I know he's doing well with that, and he's actually the only player we've had that's gone on to play in college. We've had a lot of guys that have chosen other sports, like a Jake McElroy. He went with baseball. We got Jack O'Connell from last year is playing at Stonehill for football. So. Not many guys. We haven't really had anyone take that leap to even Division III. Yeah,
Sure.
They definitely had guys that could do it, but they've chosen other sports or sometimes a big school. Because even Division III, I tell them I play Division III, and it's a full-time job, even though you're not getting the money and everything else. It's a big commitment, and I think kids realize that, and some kids just want to go and kind of enjoy the college life. So hopefully we get some more down the line.
It is. It's so different. I played Division III soccer, but a long time ago. It was totally different than it is today.
Yeah.
The program I was in, our coach was a taxi driver. I mean, he wasn't even a full-time employee at the university, right?
Yeah.
So it's different now. I mean, I was at Tufts, and Tufts now, their soccer team's incredible.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So, the world is very different for these kids. I think it is. It's a big commitment. And
it is.
You can understand why, you have to really love it because it's going to be a big part of your life.
Yeah.
The majority of your life.
Yeah, that's what I tell any kid that's kind of thinking about it. I'm like, you got to really want it. If you're, half in, half out, it's maybe not going to work out because it's a huge commitment and you're not getting the perks of like, what a Division I school is getting.
I did remember my question. So I think most listeners to this would be, if their kids are in middle school, would want to know, what is the high school coach looking for? What should my kids be doing to prepare to try to compete for a spot at the high school level?
Yeah, I would say just keep playing. I think we get bogged down with, how kids are at a young age. And I've seen so many kids be on the B team, get cut from a booster club team and end up playing for me, So I try to tell young kids, don't get bogged down if you're not in the top 10 when you're in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, because it really doesn't matter. The kids who succeed, especially in basketball, the kids that continuously play, and that's what I tell them. So, kids grow at different sizes. You might have a 7th grader who's fully grown and he kind of dominates, and then you see the kid that, is kind of tiny, just slowly make his way up. So, I would just say if they really like basketball, keep playing, work on your game, but, don't get bogged down with rankings or anything like that. I think it's tough being a younger kid now with AAU, social media, things like that. You see kids being ranked at ridiculous ages, and I'm like, oh, that's not helping anyone. So
I saw a video today. It was a quick video of the best 7th grader in the country.
Oh yeah.
He's 6'5".
Yeah.
And athletic.
Yeah.
You know what else he'd be the best at? Every sport he chose,
Yeah.
because he's 6'5"
Yeah.
and athletic.
Yeah,
so you
that
put him
helps.
on the 7th grade,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'd love to see 3 years from now when he gets to the point where a lot of guys are 6'5", or 4 years from now.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he'll be great. Maybe he'll just fall back to the pack. But
I know
it's crazy.
it does get a little crazy.
You
So
see it all the time.
Yeah.
And kids burning out too because they do too much.
Yep.
Right, and then they hate it. Even if they're good at it, then they hate it.
Yeah. You gotta enjoy it. If you don't love it, and it's not gonna work out.
Absolutely. So, well, that's all I have for questions.
Yeah, I'm all set. Thank you, Paul. Good to chat with you.
Thank you again for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you all for listening. Listen for the next episode sometime in the next week or so. Thanks, everyone.